Good afternoon, traders and investors. Will back here with another one. Hope you guys are doing well on Thursday. We now have most of our major earnings in, especially in the tech sector. So we're going to go over those. Of course, we're going to take a look at the indexes for today after yesterday's bloodbath. And we're also going to take a look at my portfolio towards the end to see if I made any new trades. Key hint, I did. So we're going to take a look at all of that, guys. We're going to go over quickly earnings now, right? So we had a major earnings today by Apple, Amazon, Airbnb, Square, and Coinbase. I'm going to cover all those for you guys right now. So stay tuned. Let's get into it. Now, first off, Amazon, right? So here we go. Amazon had a blowout quarter, reports blowout profit, beats on sales, and issues optimistic guidance. So you guys can see Amazon now absolutely ripping in the after hours here up to 139, nicely up 8%, right? So very good performance on Amazon in the after hours. Now, Amazon's report showed a return to double-digit revenue growth, something that they haven't had pretty much in the last 2 years. Company posted its biggest earnings beat since its report in the fourth quarter of 2020, right? Record year for Amazon, the pandemic year. So very nice to see that indeed. They beat on earnings by a milestone and they beat on revenue. So I'll remind you guys, the problem with Amazon that we were having, if you can see down here on the right? So the problem that we were having with Amazon is they were recording negative net margins and negative net income last year as they expanded their warehouse facilities. Now, I've said a few times on the channel that that was only a temporary issue. And then when Amazon gets through most of those capital expenditures, they will be positioned well for a nice recovery. Well, here we are, guys. We got it. Web services here, outperforming 22.1 versus 21.8, and advertising, right? Amazon, obviously a big advertising segment for them, 10.7 versus 10.4, very good. Also, key note here, AWS growth stabilized as customers started shifting from cost optimization to new workload deployment. So sales in Amazon's cloud unit climbed 12% in the second quarter to 22.1 billion. So I remind you guys, this is Amazon's fastest growing segment, right? Their whole cloud computing services. So it's always nice to see that. Very good outperformance from Amazon. All in all, in my opinion, a beautiful report. I did have a position down here that I was ready to take assignment for, but it doesn't look like I'm going to get it. Amazon now well positioned here to continue moving to the upside now that their growth story has resumed. Second, Apple. We'll get into it. Apple beats soft expectations. They always get soft expectations from Wall Street, Apple, driven by 8% services growth. So let's take a look at Apple. Apple actually falling into the after hours here. You guys will see almost down 3% in the after hours here. So not well received by Wall Street at all. They did report, however, a double beat here on earnings and the revenue here, but just not growing fast enough for Wall Street. Now, overall sales fell 1% year over year. However, revenue in the iPhone, Mac, and iPad lines were all down year over year as well, guys. So let's take a look at their lines of business, right? So EPS beat, revenue beat, yes, but iPhone revenue down, right? Down 2% year over year. Mac revenue down 7% year over year. And here's the kicker. iPads almost $1 billion, right? Not quite. Let's call it 600 million, but still down 20% year over year. Not very good for Apple, right? Even their other products revenue, right? So wearables and whatnot, up 2% year over year. So that was decent. Services, though, where Apple really has the highest margins, did expand 8% year over year. So that's their monthly subscription services and the likes, cloud storage and whatnot. Gross margin came in at a slight beat. Apple did not provide official guidance. Apple rarely provides guidance anyways. They're citing uncertainty. So it remains to be seen, guys. They say that they should have a strong Q3. Obviously, we know that the new iPhone gets released every single fall. So we'll see how that does. But Apple, to be honest with you guys, right? Very normal since they've reported not so good metrics off after last earnings. So let's say since last earnings, right? They were already up 12%. So they really needed an outperforming quarter to really start rising and pushing new all-time highs. They didn't get it. So Apple, unfortunately, now on the downswing here. Completely normal. Report was nothing outstanding. It wasn't bad, but nothing outstanding to push them to new all-time highs. Third, Airbnb. Airbnb, pretty good report, guys, but they got hit for it. Airbnb reports continued deceleration in nights and experiences booked. However, Airbnb did fantastic on the revenue and profit though. So I'll show you guys that after. Airbnb here down almost 1% in the after hour. You can see top to bottom swing on earnings was 10% before settling right here in the middle. I tuned in for the call for a bit and they were fairly bullish in terms of the CEO was fairly bullish and they were answering questions with fairly bullish tones. So I'll take you guys through this briefly. Nights and experience booked in the second quarter increased by almost 11%, missing analyst expectations, however, but they are still growing, guys, all right? So I want to point you to the one thing. Their earnings up, revenue up as well. So Airbnb, you can clearly see here that now they're actually a very stable and profitable company, right? For the past 2 years now, this was Airbnb's concern prior to 2020. Now, 2021, 2022, they're starting to actually grow their net income and free cash flow, which is what you want to see. This was a money-losing company for a very long time, and their turnaround story is here, guys. So once again, now they are reporting positive net income for the quarter, and they also guided that throughout the year as well, positive net income will be a thing, right? So very, very good report by Airbnb. However, it fell a bit short of analyst expectations, right? But plenty of opportunity for Airbnb to continue to build a strong free cash flow monster of a company, right? So very, very good. Look, it had 111.1 million nights and experience booked during the quarter, almost up 11%, but slightly less than the 117 million that analysts were expecting, right? So still very, very good. Very, very good. They're on the right trend, guys. However, like for Apple, right? Airbnb, if they've ran so much since last earnings, let's take it from the bottom right here, right? They've ran almost 50%, guys. So anything other than ridiculous beats were not going to do well for this stock. Unfortunately, Airbnb kind of stuck in the same position as a lot of stocks from this quarter, right? If they don't deliver outstanding news, especially since a lot of stocks have come up a lot this year, guys, right? So it stands to argue if they don't deliver absolutely outstanding news that no one's expecting, well, they're kind of going to have to take a potential share price hit for it, as a lot of these expectations have been built into prices already. Fourth, we're going to go over into Square, because I know a lot of you guys like Square, right? Commonly known now as Block. So let's see what Square is doing after hours. They're a PayPal competitor. Square down 6% in the after hours. However, they at one point were actually up in the after hours 6%, and now top to bottom reversing 12%, ending 6.28%. So Square, a bit of a sticky situation for Square, guys. This has always been my concern for this company. Their profit margins and their net income is just not there, right? This company has a market cap of $45 billion, but still, right, they generate a lot of revenue, $18 billion, but they don't bring enough of it to the bottom line. And that's what my problem and a lot of analysts' problem is with this stock. Also responsible for it being on such a severe decline, right? I much prefer PayPal. PayPal, much stronger numbers internally. But as you can see, Block boosts earnings forecast and its stock is popping. Well, this article was obviously written shortly after the close, not popping so much anymore, are they? Now, right? So they recorded adjusted earnings of 384 million, ahead of the 297 million, guys. So they did beat today, right? Don't get it twisted. It was a beat. They beat on earnings, they beat on revenue as well, and they did give decent guidance to the effect that they were going to report positive net income for the year. But once again, guys, it just was not good enough. Just was not good enough. Topped expectations on gross profit, as I was reading as well. So very, very good, up 20% from the year before, which is very good, right? Their gross profit is up. It's just not up enough, guys. For the amount of revenue that they're making, they need to be bringing more money to the bottom line. So, right, what they need to see, guys, is a lot of cost cutting at this point for Block, right? So this Block, not one of my favorite stocks. I know it's a crowd favorite, but I just want to tell you guys that this company has been consistently struggling with bringing money, bringing net margins to the bottom line. And that's why their shares have not been as explosive as some people may have liked to see. All right. So now we're going to get into our before last one, Coinbase here. Coinbase, let's take a look. So Coinbase, now relatively flat after hours here. Coinbase getting plagued by lower than expected crypto volume. Now, Coinbase doing a good job here of reporting better than expected Earnings here, better than expected earnings per share. They're still negative, however, and better than expected revenue. However, Coinbase also struggles from this too. If you take a look, guys, they are always negative net income for the past quarters. Yes, they're getting better, but they're still negative. And that's a problem for Coinbase. It's always been a problem for Coinbase. The losses improve, but they're not profitable as crypto trading volume falls, right? So Coin saw target raised with 160% run up. So obviously Coin with the same exact issue as the prior, right? Since last earnings, the stock is actually up over 100%, right? 134% at the highs. So it's normal that unless they delivered absolutely outstanding news to the effect that crypto volume was picking up and transactions were picking up, they were most likely going to get hit to the downside. So that's exactly what's been happening. You can see a parallel here with a lot of different companies, right? Monthly transacting users fell 19%, right? Very, very big drop. FactSet expected much lower of a drop than that. Consumer trading volume for the quarter dived 70%. That is huge, guys. Institutional trading volume fell 54%. So they're bringing in less money. Obviously, crypto has been quite muted here over the last couple months. So it's normal that people are rotating out of crypto and trying to jump on the stocks bandwagon as stocks are really hot right now. So Coinbase being plagued by low volume, right? And the last one, so Coinbase for me, guys, not a buy. I mean, I like crypto, but I don't necessarily like Coinbase the way they're positioned. They're dealing with a lot of regulatory uncertainty with the SEC and whatnot. Their lawsuits are going to cost them a lot of money, right? And they've already run substantial. I really liked it here down in the 50s. Earlier in the year, before I started the channel, I was playing this heavily in the lower 50 range. But ever since it's popped above 60 pretty much, I don't really like it anymore. Even at 60, guys, it's a coin toss because even at 60, guys, with a money-losing company, their metrics are slightly rich. So at 100, they're definitely rich, right? And nowhere close to IPO prices. This was back in a different era of stock trading where you could SPAC or IPO anything and it would perform well, right? And lastly, I want to cover this very, very, very briefly, guys. Expedia. Expedia got absolutely destroyed this morning. You guys will see minus 16% on the day. Good candidate for the put wheel, guys. If I were to start writing some puts here, potentially next week in the $87 range, would really like this stock at this range. We're starting to dip into the COVID lows here, right? So very, very good range for this stock. However, they also were a recipient of just less than good expected news. Expedia beats earning estimates, posts record revenue. Why is the stock tumbling? This is literally, guys, this is exactly like it's the narrative, right, for this current earnings session. Since last earnings down here, guys, you can see this stock was up almost 40%. So once again, anything other than ridiculously outstanding results was potentially going to take the stock down. That's exactly what happened here. They're doing good. However, their concern was on domestic travel. Domestic travel within the US is slowing despite international travel booming, which is the same thing that Airbnb said. It's the same thing that a lot of airlines have said, right? So domestic USA is slightly down. The reason they're down so much, guys, their gross bookings here. So, right, gross bookings. So how much people they want to attract to their platform, right? Wall Street was expecting 10.4 rise year over year, but they only posted 8.6%. So instead of a double digit boost in gross bookings, only 8.4%, right? 8.6%, sorry. So very, very, very poor performance relative to expectations, but still good. I mean, they're still up. Like nothing was really bad about this earnings. It just wasn't outstanding and it's just underperforming now. So that's pretty much it for our earnings today, guys. Let's get into S&P 500. S&P 500 now, guys, still down 0.3% on the day. QQQ down 0.16%, but good job of a recovery, guys, because when we started the morning here, we were down like, 0.75%. So decent intraday recovery. And QQQ as well, guys. I mean, we were down 0.6, 0.7% as well. Decent recovery intraday. So let's take a look. Heat map. Balanced market, guys. Not too bad at all. Nothing to say here. Obviously, a few very negative performers in the utility sector. But as a whole, guys, fairly mixed market. You can see XLF was slightly green. XLV wasn't down too much. So it was a red day, but not a brutal red day, especially after yesterday, considering the momentum that we could have continued with. Very, very muted day. Pretty decent, in my opinion. One day relative, you can see most of our major sectors were well in the red. And for the 1 week as well, guys, this is largely due to yesterday's action, right? everything is pretty much in the red for the week. So that's completely normal. So let's take a look where we stand for our levels. Well, SPY, once again, guys, pushing to the downside. What are we looking for here at this point? It is a loss of the daily uptrend. So at this point, guys, any single rise to the upside should be met for a lower high compared to this guy and potentially a furtherance of the daily downtrend. The only way that bulls reverse this, and I'll be saying this a lot today, so keep note of this, only way bulls can reverse this is put in a big enough of a move that they can set up potentially for a lower high and reverse the daily uptrend. But as of now, daily downtrend, so zoom out, weekly consolidation well underway. Keep an eye, 12 EMA, first stop, 439.65. QQQ, same thing, right? So QQQ, daily downtrend confirmed, even with today's price action, trading under your 12 and 26 EMA at this point. So daily downtrend confirmed. You have to expect that any push up at this point must be for a lower high. We're going to have moving average resistance here for a further push to the downside. Once again, the only way that bulls can turn this around, you guys will know this by the end of the video, trust me, they need to put in enough of a big move up that the likely scenario becomes a higher low. But as of now, guys, with the weakness that we're seeing in the markets, right, and earnings not doing so well, except for a few outliers, I am expecting lower high and continued downside for just continued weekly consolidation. Healthy. Notice I didn't say weekly crash, just healthy weekly consolidation. QQQ, keep an eye, first stop, 363 is going to be your 12 EMA. Why? Because we just haven't lost it pretty much since the beginning of the year, slightly in the banking crisis, but other than that, healthy. XLF financials, big rebound on the day, guys. So when I see a candle like this, it's very possible that we've now found our daily higher low. I'm not going to bet the casino on it, but that's what we've been looking for. We've been looking for a higher low, anything above 34.20. So now at this point, it remains to be seen if the bulls can actually come back up here and challenge this 36 to 37 area. Looking good though, even on the weekly, guys. Look at this weekly chart, right? Anything above 32.50 is just your weekly higher low. If financials put in a nice day tomorrow, I will be confident in saying that your weekly higher low is most likely set, especially if we start getting some engulfing moves, start putting in some highs on the days right here. Very likely that your weekly higher low is set here, 34.74. I am even if it's not, even if we continue weekly consolidation, right? I expect the second leg up to happen in the next few weeks. XLV Healthcare performing fairly well here, right, guys? So not the best day, but not a terrible day, right? We're still looking for your daily higher low. Now it's been really brutal, right? Pretty much like 6-7 red days in a row for healthcare. So pulling back a lot, guys. We're now pulling pretty deep into this whole move up, right? We're now pulled back, you know, almost to the 618, right? So that's really the level that you want to see them stop here. 132.30. Key level below our short-term moving averages, guys. We do have some decent horizontal support that we're running into pretty much right now, right? That's why we're getting a bit of air brakes being applied on the markets, but still, guys, not looking the best on healthcare. Need the bulls to start putting in a stop soon, right? Still looking for the weekly higher low, though. Anything above 129, just the same, is just your weekly higher low. I do still think that healthcare is positioned strong to get, just like financials, a second leg up if technology continues to sell off. IWM Russell, growth names getting pretty much hit pretty hard today, guys. If you see even the growth list that I have today, right? A lot of them, right? Etsy, PayPal, stuff like that, down a lot. I know these are not in the Russell, but just to say, guys, that, you know, technology and growth as a whole today was just not favored at all. So Russell still struggling in our resistance area, guys. We are still struggling today, doubling the pretty much the low right here, 193-ish, right? So very negative day for IWM. If we really struggle and we can't break this tightening range to the upside and we break to the downside, you know what we're looking out for, guys? Just looking for the weekly higher low, anything above 180.3. It's just going to be for weekly consolidation, looking for your weekly higher low. Keep an eye on the moving averages down here. 188 seems to be a very good area to target. Now, looking into the Dow Jones names quickly. Dow Jones, same thing. Once again, markets are consolidating. So Dow Jones now, right, setting up for the daily trend reversal potentially, right? So made a newer high, but now flushing our previous lows. So you don't like to see that on the short-term time frames, but on the long-term time frames, guys, we're fine. What are we looking for here? Weekly consolidation, like the rest of our markets, right? Anything above 33,600 is just going to be your weekly higher low. Good confluence down here. Our horizontal support, 34,500-ish. And we got the EMA right down here. So if we continue to pull back in the next week on value, expect there to be a nice area of your breakout retest here and for a move higher after that, especially if technology continues to pull back, perhaps. I do think that value will become more favorable, just as it has been in the past 3-4 weeks here. Now let's get into tech real quick and then we'll go to my account. Yeah. All right. Apple, obviously negative day here. What are they setting up for? They're setting up for the Microsoft. I'll bring up the Microsoft chart right away. This is exactly what happened to Microsoft off earnings. They set up the daily downtrend and they're still in it. So Apple potentially here with the setup for the daily downtrend here. This is now a loss of the daily uptrend. Apple has not lost the daily uptrend, guys, in a long time. Here in May, pretty much. They lost it for a day and then they were able to get it back, right? But it has, other than that, guys, has not lost it since February, pretty much. So keep an eye out for this, guys. The bears putting in a good job here. Obviously, now we're all the way down to 186 in the after hours. So creating a lot of space. Your likely scenario at this point, guys, does become a lower high compared to your previous high and set up for the daily downtrend. So just keep that in mind, guys. Weekly consolidation for these things is underway. It's the first time that a lot of these things are seeing daily downtrends, so it has to be notable to you. What does that mean? Just weekly consolidation for Apple. Apple, right? We're now below the 12 EMA right here. 12 EMA sitting at about 186.32. We're barely below it, so it remains to be seen how trading will be handled tomorrow. But if Apple does continue weekly consolidation, perhaps you guys know that my sweet spot is 175 all the way down to 170. And like I said before, guys, like there's literally so much space. 163 is where the area that I would consider this weekly higher low to be set, right? So tons and tons of space to make that weekly consolidation move happen. It's bound to happen. It happens all the time. Like I was showing you guys on the monthly, Apple puts in beautiful months, 2 months of consolidation, continues to move higher, couple months consolidation, move higher. Same thing, you know, if you say, okay, well, don't use 2020, it's an outlier. All right, let's go back in time, guys, right? So let's go back to 2014 when some of you guys weren't trading, but I was, right? So let's just see here, right? Upswing, 2 months of consolidation, upswing, right? Same thing here. Continue the highs, 2 months of consolidation, continue to move higher, right? And then obviously we have some things fall apart. This was a different era. This is right around the Trump election presidency, right? The markets did have a bit of a tussle right there. But if we go back to another bull trending market here, you know, 5-6 months of move up, 2 months consolidation. Then continue to push higher, few months of consolidation, continue. So you guys know how this works, right? So if we are in consolidation, guys, just don't worry about it. It's fine. I wouldn't be too stressed out about it. Tons of space. My sweet spot down there. AMD, great recovery by AMD today, if I do say so myself. Holding these lows, 107.64, right? So what are we doing on AMD now, guys? We're kind of pretty much trapped in this extended range. The daily doesn't show it too well. The weekly, you'll see very, very nasty tightening range here at the bottom of this whole down leg right here. So you guys know the area to watch here is our previous lows. The 107.60 area is crucial. If we lose it, guys, the daily downtrend is confirmed. The weekly downtrend is also confirmed. And at that point, you are just in further monthly consolidation. But like I've been saying on the monthly chart, looking for the monthly higher low for continuation of the upside. AMD still representing a good amount of value in this stock, in my opinion, relative to all-time highs, right? So still off 30% from all-time highs, right? So decent value here on Airbnb. AMD bulls. What you want to see here, guys, is a continuation of this move. If the bulls can put in a decent enough move, they set up enough space for the daily uptrend reversal. But as of now, guys, kind of trapped within this whole range here. Keep a decent eye on this level. If we do break it here, 104 to 100 is obviously my sweet spot here. But what you want to see bulls do is create that space and get your daily uptrend recaptured. Amazon, don't even have to look at Amazon. Amazon's all the way up here at 140 now, up 10% in the after hours. Nasty move. So obviously, guys, right? Daily uptrend is now recaptured. They pulled a Google pretty much, right? Just smash through all this resistance. If they do pull back, we're now looking at this whole area, the 135 zone, for your retest area at this point. If they continue to move higher, this is your weekly uptrend reconfirmed at this point, right? Next target of resistance, 146, 147 area. Amazon performing very well. Weekly uptrend now resumed, kind of exactly like Google, which we're going to see next. Let's bring it up right away. Google did the exact same thing. Exact same thing. You notice how Google was kind of trapped in this range here, kind of like Amazon was. Oops. Kind of like Amazon was, right? Trapped in this range here, then earnings pop. I was saying it could go either way, and that's exactly what happens. They just blasted at this point through resistance. Google, same thing, still retesting our area here, retesting our horizontal support, retesting our 12 EMA. Decent defense by Google today. Not doing too much, up a little bit in the after hours here. Google, daily uptrend, right, is well confirmed here. We're just looking for the daily higher low. Anything above here, 118.71, is going to be your daily higher low. Very, very simple. Weekly uptrend is obviously well in motion, even though we're getting a bit of a pullback here. I am expecting further resumption of this trend to the upside. Your next area of resistance for Google at this point is 140. Right? 140, decent performance by Google. What you don't want to see is the bears pull down too deep into this move because they could set up for the daily downtrend reversal. It's okay if they do that. I'm definitely buying in the 120 range. NVIDIA, decent day of defense, guys, right? Decent day of defense. The bears had all the opportunity to flush these lows. Couldn't get it done today. AMD recovering nicely as well, but daily downtrend is confirmed, guys, at this point. I'm just looking for a lower high. Anything below 472.71 is going to be your lower high for further daily downtrend continuation. So obviously, like I was saying yesterday, daily downtrend is confirmed, guys. Until the bulls put in enough of a move to reverse it, we are in a daily downtrend. At that point, I'm always zooming out. We're looking for your weekly higher low. Anything above 404 is going to be it. How do you know the weekly higher low is set, right? How do you know when to stop looking on the weekly? When the bears recapture the daily uptrend, your weekly higher low will be set. Does that make sense? Hope that makes sense. All right. So targeting now at this point, 400. 400 is going to be your weekly higher low level. Watch out for that, guys. But at this point, still in a daily downtrend below our moving averages. Tesla, decent also defense, guys. The bears are lacking follow through, in my opinion, right? Especially after a massive day like yesterday. You would think that it would be easy for the bears to push some of these names to the downside. Can't get it done. 255, right? They're now back above our previous area. 255 was the area to watch, right? We're now slightly back above it. So bears with a look below could not follow through. Still under your moving averages, still in a daily downtrend at this point, right? But if we crack these highs, 267, guys, if you crack 267, you open the door for the bulls to set a daily higher low and move into this range, right? But at this point, still a daily downtrend. We're looking on the weekly for your higher low. The previous low is 240, okay? 240. So anything above 240 is your higher low. How will you know if this is the weekly higher low or not? Very simple. If the bulls can reverse the daily downtrend to a daily uptrend from here, then you know that this was your weekly higher low. So I always wait for confirmation like that. But if ever we continue to follow through with the daily downtrend into further weekly consolidation and lose this level, my sweet spot, 230 all the way down to 210. Why? The monthly. We're just looking for a monthly higher low as well. So we're looking for a weekly higher low, but if we lose it, we're looking for a monthly higher low. The bulls control the longer time frames, which is why I'm not nervous at all. PayPal getting absolutely destroyed at this point, right? So my break even on my positions I started yesterday, guys, is 66.6 roughly. So now I am down pretty much over $2 a share on that. Am I dying or something like that? Absolutely not, guys. We are perfectly comfortable with it. This is actually my sweet spot buy zone. I moved it down to here because there was too many things on the chart, but anything below 65, guys, pretty much is really a very heavy buy area for PayPal. You guys know I said it yesterday. I really believe that it was a big overreaction on earnings yesterday. PayPal is positioned very, very well. I really have nothing negative to say on this stock other than the fact that, they were trading a bit too rich back here in the 300 area, that's for sure. But can this stock, at this point, guys, this stock, I think on a on a forward PE ratio, they're about a 12 or a 13. It's absolutely ridiculous. On a PEG ratio, right? So earnings in relation to growth, they're at a 1 PEG. Like very, very good fundamental value in this stock, and they're still growing at 20%, right? Very good stock, in my opinion, unfairly hit, but let's look at the technical guys, right? Obviously, any move above is just going to be for a daily higher low for continuation of the daily downtrend. I do want to see the bulls be able to make a hefty bounce here, right? The higher they bounce, the likely they can set up the daily downtrend right away. But at this point, guys, we've also lost the weekly. The weekly to monitor here was pretty much 65.50. You remember me saying that? We're under that now. So unfortunately, we have now lost the weekly uptrend as well. So remains to be seen, guys. It's all in the size of the bounce, right? All in the size of the bounce. Big gap to be filled here now at this point, right? So we need to let this chart bottom out first, right? 4-hour is crushed, absolutely crushed on the RSI. You can see it if I would move my big head. So we're obviously massively crushed on the 4-hour RSI. Hourly RSI is crushed to bits as well. So whenever this move does start to bottom out, I want to see how high can the bulls get here. Potentially, you know, it could do something like it did right here, right? Bottoms out, and now you see reset the daily uptrend. This right here is resetting the daily uptrend. So I'm expecting something like that as well, to where we kind of bottom out and then eventually the bulls engulf and reset the daily uptrend. But the only problem with that is it takes time. So we have to be patient with this one. Palantir, decent day of defense, not much to report on Palantir. Still looking for your higher low. Anything above 16 is just going to be a daily higher low. We do have horizontal support here at 18, obviously, and we have the moving average. So not looking too bad for Palantir. Just keep an eye out, guys. They do have earnings next Monday. Going to be a big day for Palantir. Palantir has run a lot in the same position as a lot of stocks. So if they don't perform excessively well, expect them to get hit as well, right? Because they have come up a bunch since last earnings. So just keep that in mind. We are overbought here. I know that this stock could potentially run more to the upside, but it's just a warning that, you know, you guys know I've been over a lot of them today. Stocks that run a lot, that don't give absolutely phenomenal earnings results, can take a hit. So keep an eye on that. If we lose 16 after earnings, you're obviously just looking anything above 1375 to just be your weekly higher low. So tons of space, not too nervous. And lastly, my account down again today, right? So, as opposed to yesterday. So we're down about, let's call it 0.7%, right? So we did drop a little bit more than the indexes, but that's because I got absolutely destroyed on PayPal. No surprise there, right? And a couple other of my stocks are not performing the best. Even Estee Lauder coming down a bit. I do have a leap call in this account, so that did contribute, but doing fairly healthy, guys. 57%, can't complain. The indexes, the NASDAQ is only up 34% for the year, and the S&P, you can see, guys, S&P is now only up about 17.5, and we're chilling here at 57. So decent outperformance here, if I do say so myself. You know, decently over a triple at this point, right? 17 times 3 would be pretty much 51. So at this point, we are outperforming, not quite a 4 times, but decently outperforming the SPY here in terms of year-to-date performance. Now, my positions, not much has changed. I still have the AAs. You guys can see, though, the AAs, look at this, closed at my assignment price. So we'll see tomorrow whether we close above or below. Not too nervous at all. The call premiums are pretty juicy on these, even if I get assigned. CSIQ, 35s almost made it back today. We were actually above that today, but it kind of dropped off and now back below to 34.55. But you can see today on the day, we were hovering around that 35 area. Covered calls for this, fairly decent. Am I nervous? Absolutely not. This is a very, very good area of support. And if we drop down lower to our lower bound of support between $30 and $28, doesn't really matter. I'll be able to get a nice little average into there. I like this company's fundamentals, even though solar has not been favorable as of recently. Their PE ratio is tiny and they make money and their market cap's only $2 billion. So give them some space, guys. Give them some space. I really don't mind. Not a very big position for me anyways. Tesla, obviously calls are still in place, right? Covered calls to offset the shares. Nike still below 109 here. Nike still below 109. As you can see, right, 108.64. So we'll see tomorrow if we take assignment on the Nikes. Don't really mind if I do or if I don't. Really need to see how it closes tomorrow. If we do, we'll obviously write covered calls. PayPal, you can see the 69s and the 66s got completely destroyed. So I'm happy though. I got some decent premium on them. My break even across everything, if you do the math, with my share, with my assignment prices, minus the premium, our break even is 66.60. Very good, guys. Really not mad at all of getting PayPal. And if it continues to drop, I will put back on my leap call that you guys remember on the channel in front of you guys. I bought over here around 64, wrote it up, sold it around 73 prior to earnings here because I said I know what PayPal can do on earnings, so I don't really want to sacrifice any gains. And so happy that I did. So I might be able to pick up another leap. But obviously we're crushed on these, maybe assigned on the definitely on the 69s tomorrow. 66s, if it has a big pop tomorrow, I may be saved, but really don't mind either way, guys. The SEs here, the 63s, you'll see we're still under 63. We're about at 62 today. So I may be getting assigned these SE 63. Does it matter for me? Not quite, really. At the bottom area of a range, I only did one contract, left myself some space. If we do continue to drop into the 50s and 40s potentially, if that happens, right? I left myself some space to average. Decent premium on the covered calls, though, if I do say so myself. So we'll be writing, if I don't see that we're going to be, if I see we're going to be assigned tomorrow, come 3 o'clock, I may just write calls right away and jump the assignment. AMD 103s closed for worthless. You guys can see that I wrote them yesterday. The 103s here for, where are they? 35 cents, right? We closed them this morning for 2 cents, completely worthless. So very, very decent. And what else did we write? We wrote Amazons for earnings gamble 120. You guys know that I was saying, don't play earnings unless you want the stock at the strike price. Where was 120 minus the premium? Right above my sweet spot. I got about 89 cents, as you can see. So with the premium, it would have put me about 119. In the sweet spot, would not have mind taking assignment of Amazon if it did drop. But as you can see, right, the 120s tomorrow, since Amazon's 140 now, they'll be pretty much worthless. So decent little play right here. Could have taken them early in the morning, but I like kind of waiting for the day to play out and taking them right before earnings. But if I would have wrote them this morning when Amazon was 126, I could have got like $1.50. So I could have got more, but that's pretty much it, guys. And you can see now, Estee Lauder, we are currently underwater by about $400 here. Bitcoin still up slightly. And my Canadian stock shares, 764 shares of this Canadian stock ETF is now down. We used to be up about $1 a share last week, but they've come down a lot. So that's why the portfolio is kind of down. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I always like making them for you guys. I hope you had a good day trading. Wasn't too volatile of a day today, even despite all the earnings that we had. So tomorrow, with all of our tech out of the way, you will see me start to play positions on tech. There's actually a few plays at decent levels that I'm starting to like now, right? Some stuff has come down, so we're gonna position for that tomorrow into next week as well. Now we're finally through the major part of earnings season. We got the Black Swan event yesterday with the credit downgrade. So at this point, guys, we're gonna ride this weekly consolidation and we're gonna wait for stocks to come to us and buy them at good prices and continue this long-term bull market to the upside. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Once again, my name's Will. If you did like it, consider liking, consider subscribing. I really appreciate it when you do. And if you have any questions, if you want me to look at any stock or explain what I'm doing with options, or say, hey, do you think that this company is good at this strike? Not financial advice, but I'll tell you what I would do. We can just deem it to that, right? So anyways, guys, appreciate you guys. Have a great night. I'll see you after the close tomorrow on Friday. Have a great evening. Peace.